All right. Excuse me. My throat. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to my talk show. What's going on? I'm your host, I One Rebel, and this is my talk show, Late Night Rebel, and I'm here with my guest, FrostyFrog. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So, um, well, first thing I want to know, man, is like, how did you end up in VR chat, man?
So, as far as how I went ahead and ended up in VR chat, VR was something that I wanted to get into for a very long time, but I
Okay.
always looked at the cost of things like the HTC Vive as insanely expensive. And at the
Mm-hmm.
time when I wanted to get into VR, the Vive, the OG Vive was 800 bucks or 800 US, and that was just too hard for me to justify. It eventually dropped down to $500, and I just kept saying, if it drops $100, I'll go ahead and get VR. I'll like without a second thought, I'll get VR. And then I went ahead and watched Hey I'm Bees, or I think it was Hey I'm B. Yeah, go ahead and it was her video on I think being drunk in full body or something like that in VR chat. I don't remember. But the fact was she was using full body and whatnot, and that just sort of drove me to go the extra way because I was like, I already wanted to get VR. I didn't realize that VR chat. Um, actually, I so that was now that I think about it, that was one of the things that helped drive me to it. Another thing was I watched a streamer at the time, Zoof VR,
Yeah.
and me and him are great friends now. But at the time, like, he's the one who got me in or helped me get the rest of the way into it. And along with the Hey MB video, it both of those together went ahead and drove me to actually buying VR. And I'd say it's been a cool experience up to this point, over a year later.
Oh, so that was only a year ago. So you only been
A
playing.
little over a year.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
I think I started playing uh, June 2018, June
Oh.
or July.
Okay. I think that would classify as like a generation two. I don't know. I don't know if you know what I mean by
Maybe.
generations. So like I consider people that started like my time, which is in December of 2017, generation one, and then generation two is like
Mm-hmm.
after like you got in Knuckles after like the whole um like huge updates and stuff like that. I think that's like when the cameras came out, when full body was more
Yeah, the
popular.
cameras pretty, or I'm pretty sure the cameras were out. There was full body.
Yeah.
Um, Full body was starting to get popular, but the knuckles weren't quite a thing yet, as far as I knew back then.
Yeah, they were a thing. Yeah, yeah. I don't even think even the Vive Pro was even a thing. Maybe I'm wrong though. I don't remember. It's been a while.
It might have just come out because they had dropped the price of the OG Vive to 500.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. There's been a lot of price cuts and stuff like that ever since. In the past, what, like December now, so many people have bought out like all of the Vive headsets and Index and Oculus Quest and everything. So it's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm. Makes it a bit difficult to get VR now, especially with the new Half-Life Alyx coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I bought I just bought full body yesterday. It's coming to my house. I don't know when. Probably in a week or so. I don't know. It doesn't tell me
Oh,
when.
awesome!
Yeah, so finally, after playing VR chat for 2 years, I can have full body at least. I'm gonna cry if some like new technology comes out. Like now, I'm like, wow, I just spent my money on this, and something new and better came out.
Right, right. Like I could go ahead and spend some money and buy a what was it, like the Pixel 4 as an upgrade to my phone, since my phone's kind of bubbling up. The screen
Mm-hmm.
is coming off the back. But if I buy a Pixel 4 now, when they release the new phone within the next year, the new phone might be better, and it probably would have been worth it to wait.
Oh yeah, yeah. All the new phones coming out and everything. Like it's always like that every year. I think my phone's like 4 years old, so I probably am due for a new one.
Maybe. Who
Yeah,
knows?
I don't know.
As long as the phone works, that's the important thing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't really use my phone. I have like a couple apps on it, and then like it's just for like calling and texting. That's about it, dude. I don't really care for the other features and like playing games or whatever on it. It just uses too much data, costs money. I use my computer way more.
Yeah, I mostly use my phone for Twitter and Discord at this point in time.
Oh yeah, yeah, Discord. Yeah, when I'm at school and stuff, I'm at college. I'm just like just like DMing people or whatever because I'm bored in class. So I get that feeling. But anyway, I got more questions for you. So my next question is, how did you create your OC or your character to represent your brand?
All right, so this one I think is how to explain this, where to start. So I first found the subcom Neko within subcom, and I went ahead and used the Neko for a while. I went ahead and purchased that base to go ahead and potentially learn how to model make and whatnot, because I wanted to get to the point where I could create my own character. There has been a problem with the normal Hoppo faces, at least in my opinion, is that when you go ahead and look at the Hoppos, look at the Neko's faces, to me it looks like they're staring like straight into your soul. They're not like happy-go-lucky. Like there's no form of expression on most of them. It's just like this solid flatline face, and the eyes, you know, to me they kind of stare into my soul. So I wanted to go ahead and change that, something with a smile and potentially cat whiskers, because the Neko's already a cat. And that's when I found the Nanachis. And so I learned from Zoof again how to do a head swap, which,
Yeah.
yeah, basically I took the Nanachi head, put it on the Neko body, eventually learned how to do some texture adjustments to get the skin looking just right across the entire avatar. And that's where I am today, and I just keep going based off that. And to me, this avatar goes ahead and represents me in a sense, because it represents three things. It's a young girl, in the sense that a girl typically would represent purity or innocence, or younger girls are typically represent innocence and purity. That was the idea in my head. And then the Neko, because I like cats.
Okay, and then the Nanachi part.
To go ahead and, in a sense, emphasize more of the Neko cat-like stuff, but also because the Nanachi is smiling and happy.
True. I could see that. I get you. What do you think about my character? What does that say? What does this say about me? I'm no, I'll let you say. Like, what do you think? I don't know.
Now I have to actually think, making me think on the spot
Yeah.
on this one.
What do you think about me?
So I'm not quite sure what's on the at, but it looks kind of like I can see a rent there. So I'd say kind of like a mechanic. It reminds me kind of, I think, Gage from Borderlands.
Okay. I could see that.
And the outfit reminds me of Pokemon.
Wow. You're pretty close. So, it's actually a mix of. If you ever played Final Fantasy 15, Sydney, she's the mechanic. Well, if you ever Google that, you would just see like basically this outfit, but not quite. This is like a modified version of it, and then I also looked at like a Pokemon trainer, so that's where I got like the long like ponytail and like some other features from. So I basically mixed Final Fantasy 15, Cindy, and Pokemon trainer, mixed the two, and then that was the outfit. But my OC, my characters, my mascot, Ryder, is like just like a tough looking, mature biker chick woman. Being a rebel, basically. So
Nice.
that's what I went with. I would normally be wearing that outfit over there, but I don't have that yet. So that's my
Soon,
interview outfit.
soon, I'm
Yes,
sure.
soon. 2020. Anyway, on to the next question. So, have you ever attended any conventions or TwitchCon this year or previous years, or do you plan on attending any conventions in the future?
All right, so my first few conventions were actually it's a convention in Utah called Open West, and it's more of a technology convention, not like your normal hobbyist, or it's not like Anime Con or Twitch Con or etc. It's like the people who go there are businesses, and
Mm-hmm.
I was always used to you go to the con and the first few days there was lots of people, but then you get to Saturday and there's nobody at any of the or there's hardly anybody at the con.
Yeah.
And I've been to that con a couple times. Then I went to uh, Salt Lake Gaming Con, and then uh, the Anime Con in Utah, FanX.
Okay.
And those cons were a lot different compared to my experience with Open West, because Open West, it was like everyone comes the first couple of days and they're gone because they have no obligation to be there. Work paid for them to go. In the case of the Salt Lake Gaming Con and Anime Con, there was hardly anybody there. Like the first day, more people there the second day. Then once it was Saturday, it was just jam packed, as many people as they could fit in there almost. Probably was, and that was just a huge. It was kind of like a culture shock, even though. Wait, no, actually, it is culture. It was a culture shock because I'm like, this isn't how cons typically work, and I spent most of those cons just going through all the booths that they had, and I didn't actually go into any of the talks. Whereas a con like Open West, it's the talks that I go there for, and not for the booths. And then I also went to TwitchCon, and that was I'm trying to go to the talks and whatnot to learn, but then there's so many people there that you know that, and this was just TwitchCon from last year, but there's so many people that you know that just want to talk with you or get your picture or etc.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the case with Fizzy and I. We were walking through TwitchCon, and every once in a while we would just get stopped and asked, like for a picture or someone saying hi, wanting a hug, etc.
Damn. That's crazy though. That, like you're getting recognized. Was it from people that you knew, like maybe your fans or viewers, or like other people from the VR chat community that you hang out with in this platform?
Uh, for the most part, it was people throughout the VR chat community that I hang out with. There were certainly people from the community, but for the most part, I knew, or like from the Twitch community, but for the most part, I knew the people because VR chat is just a different environment where your fans can actually come and meet you in game. Unlike, say, if I went ahead and played Halo, the chances of me going ahead and playing with a bunch of the fans in chat are, it's just hardly any chance compared to if I were playing VR chat and accepted their friend request, got to know them in Discord, and then in game.
Yeah, VR chat has brought a lot of people together, and especially at like TwitchCon and stuff, where people get to meet and finally
Mm-hmm.
see each other and be like, "Oh, hey, you're that person I've been hanging out with for the past 6 months," and giving head pats to and stuff. So
The surprising one was seeing a friend from New Zealand all the way at TwitchCon.
oh snap, New Zealand. Yeah, there's people that come all across the world. I haven't been to any like Twitch cons or anything like that. I just don't have the time and the money. So, but I know a lot of people. So I think if I ever went, I think I would get swarmed. I don't know if that's a good thing or bad thing. Because I've made so many memories of people. I'm like so many people want to meet me, and oh man, sucks. I wish I could just like instant transmission and just like be like Goku and just but I can't. It costs money. I can't take time
Or
off
have
of
a portal
college.
gun and just place a
Yeah,
portal at their house somehow and then walk
yeah.
through.
Come on. When's that technology coming out? I mean, at least we have VR chat, so technically I got to see them, sort of.
You know, it's your own virtual holodeck, right?
Yeah. I guess you could say when I make my own world or instance and then I just invite my friends, it's kind of like a convention at the car, like sort of, or a hangout
Mm-hmm.
in a way.
At least that part of the convention, yes.
Yes. Um. So next question I have is: tell me some stories you remember from VR chat, recent memories or older ones. So stuff that you remember and happened because of VR chat. Was it a funny memory? Something that you enjoyed, a good moment, stuff that like when someone asks you, hey, like, what do you think about VR chat? What's a good time? Like what happened? What's a good story to tell?
Mm-hmm. Keo, do you mind if I share something personal between us? Up to me? Okay. So, I guess one of the things that has happened within VR chat that wouldn't even be possible is, so I mentioned how Keo's my girlfriend. Um, I would never have met her without VR chat. I would never would, like, even if we were to meet up in real life, I doubt that we'd have the same kind of relationship that we have today without VR chat. And a lot of that is because, um, so the reason why I said I'm sure Kia wouldn't cause much trouble in like the noise department and whatnot, she is mute in real life. So it's not like a VR chat mute, but with people being in VR chat, mute is a commonly accepted thing. Like you'll find people who are mute and everyone's just a-okay with it, that people don't talk but they still want to interact. And I don't believe that without having something common or something that's commonplace like that being accepted, I don't think that I would have met and interacted with Keo as much as I have, because social anxiety in a sense, where if I saw her in real life, I'm not sure that I would have worked up the courage to go and just talk to her. Whereas in VR chat, it's like, oh, hey, look, a new person. Let's go ahead and meet them. Let's talk to them. Let's make another friend. You just don't get that in real life. You don't get this
Mm-hmm.
whole sense of, let's make as many friends as I can.
Yeah, I can understand what you're saying. I think when I did all these other interviews, it's very common that you meet people that you never thought you would meet, and become friends with them or relationships and stuff like that. I think that's very commonplace in VR chat, um, even with myself and my own friends and stuff like that. Like honestly, I would have thought that would be a part of Team Five and Midnight Central and things like that. If it wasn't for VR chat and meeting them and having all these awesome adventures and memories and stuff like that. So yeah, I 100% can agree that there are, because of VR chat, because of this platform, you can meet people. And I even heard of well, there's probably like a few people I've known that actually got married, because like IRL married, like they actually like met in real life, dated for a while, got engaged and married because of VR chat. So it can happen. Like it's very powerful, to uh, meet somebody that you never thought you would meet, and then you end up spending the rest of your life with them. So it's crazy.
Right, and VR chat, as far as long distance relationships go, VR chat provides this ability where, like, I'm right here talking with you today,
Mm-hmm.
basically in the same room, and yet we're many miles apart and we can't interact with each other. And if there was some sort of online communication or whatnot, it's just not the same. A Skype call is not the same as what we have here in VR chat.
Yeah, because it's we physically see each other. Even though yes, I don't look like this in real life. Sorry, guys, I don't look
Exactly.
like this. But you know,
Are you sure about that?
yeah, I mean, yeah, I look like this. Don't worry about it. But yeah, like you know, it allows you to like see people and you can hug each other and you know hang out and watch movies together. There's so much stuff you can do in VR chat that's more than just seeing someone. You know, you can just hang out, drink
Hmm.
together, do a lot of stuff in this
Uh,
platform.
in an instance of something that happened earlier today, Kyo and I were actually trying to learn American Sign Language.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I've been to that world, the sign language world.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of things you can do, you know, because like you meet people from all around the world. You meet people that, like I've never thought I would meet people from Germany and they would become my friends or Europe and stuff. So like I, you know, you know what I mean. Like traditionally, when you grew up, when I grew up as a kid, you would play like Halo or Call of Duty, and then you just play with people around the world. And that was it. And you just be like, I'm shooting you, boom, and killing whatever. Right? That was it. There's no like, oh, let's be best friends and like let's hang out, and watch movies together on Skype or Discord or whatever. That wasn't really a thing. At least for me, when I played Xbox Live and stuff, you didn't really do that. It was just sort of like you played a game and that was it. Now VR chat's like, oh, you can hang out with these people and drink and get in Discord calls and have fun and have all these crazy adventures with. It's a lot more personal. I feel like, well, I mean, it is a social platform. It's not really a game. It's not like a
But
point
even
A
though
to
it's a
point B.
social platform, it's nothing like Facebook.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Like, it's not like Facebook because Facebook's more of just I don't even know anymore. It's just like ads and stuff.
Here's what I did. Here's the adventures I've gone
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Like
All of you people
I
who
feel
used to be my
like
friends in real life.
yeah, yeah. I feel like Facebook is very fictitious. I feel like it's just like because on Facebook you only post the good moments, right? Yeah, sure, some people post some sad stuff, but like most people are like, "Hey, I went fishing today. Hey, I bought some shoes today. Hey, I did this." It's like, "Okay, dude, like, all right, sure. I went to some parties." But like that's not really connecting. But now in VR chat, you actually can see
No,
that person every day and be like, "Oh, hey, let's do that together. Hey, let's go shopping. Let's go find some avatars. Let's do these adventures." See, it's not all about them. Now it's about us. It's all about meeting people and actually hanging out.
exactly. And in relation to that, like Facebook, yeah, it's more available than VR is, or even VR
Yeah.
chat. But what I've seen, like you mentioned the Vive and the Quest earlier, what's great is the fact that there are these new headsets coming out like the Quest. And while in VR chat, I would have to say that there is a lot of, oh, hey, they're a Quest user, or things like that go on.
Mhm.
The important thing is that we are getting more people into VR. And I feel like we need to be welcoming of all of these Quest users because they may not be in a financial situation where they can get a PC. And so the Oculus Quest may be the best VR experience headset that they can get. And they can still come here to go ahead and build all of these relationships and make more friends and etc. There's a
Exactly.
lot of potential.
Exactly. There's a lot of potential for people to meet and stuff like that. Like you don't have to technically have VR to actually play VR chat. A lot of people don't know that. Like you can just play in desktop mode. It's free. It's a free game.
Hmm.
You know, it does cost quite a bit to give you. You know, Quest. You know, it's like 300, $400. Like some people can't afford that. So like I played in desktop for a month before I got VR. So
I have a friend named Cool Gamer, and one of the things that I've asked him recently, just the other day, was I asked him if he had the Quest link and hooked up his VR headset to his to the PC, and he said, "I don't have a PC."
oh
Here's
what?
this kid
What?
who doesn't have a PC at all, and yet he's playing in VR and hanging out with me.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Like, cause the Oculus Quest and the Vive Cosmos, I think, which I'm not too. I know the Quest is, but I don't know if the Cosmos. I don't know. There's basically some headsets that don't require the computer at all, so you just put it on and boom, right in. So that's really cool. Like I think that's what's really gonna push VR is not be able to because like right now to have any of the really high end headsets you have to have a really good computer and I think that's really what's pushes away like a lot of people, because it's like, well, I have to spend $1,000 on this headset, then I have to spend another $2,000 on a computer, and I have to spend $3,000 to like play a VR game. That's not worth it. Most people just want to like, that's why console gaming is so popular. People just, you buy the console, you buy the game, you put it in, but boom, bada bing, you play the game. That's it. It's very simple. You don't have to do these instructions. You don't have to have a really good computer, because not the average person knows even how to build a computer. So then have to pay someone, and it's just too much of a hassle and too much money. So it's easier just to like, oh, you buy this headset and you just put it on and that's it. Like that's easy. I think that's what Facebook at least did right, was the Oculus Quest. I think that's something, even though it's kind of limiting in terms of like VR chat wise, because you can't really, can you play like, if you hook up the Quest to the computer, does that mean you can play on desktop, like on the PC version, or is it just still Quest version?
Yes.
Oh, okay, nice. Okay, I wasn't sure about that because I don't own a Quest. I own the original
Granted,
Oculus Rift.
you do need a USB-C cable to go from the Quest to the PC. But
Yeah,
besides,
and your computer's
so
good
it has to
enough.
be high-speed
Yeah.
USB cable or USB-C cable has to support it, and I think the Oculus's version of the cable is like $80 by itself, but it's a fiber optic cable too.
Interesting. Yeah, that's okay. So that means if anyone has a Quest, get that cable and you can play on basically with desktop users. But it's using your computer, right? So obviously you have to have a pretty beefy computer,
Yeah.
decent sized one, or good enough to be able to play. So.
And I don't know if they do the rendering on the headset or if they still do it all on the computer.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
I mean, it's something, and it's a headset that you can take, like, say, to the office for the day. Like, you go to work, it's your lunch break, or you need to take a break, you're working late hours, take your headset, put it on, and play a little bit of VR. Who
Yeah,
knows?
play some Beat Saber or something. That's yeah, I can see that. Next question. How did you start as a streamer or a YouTuber? What inspired you to what inspired you to do what you do today, or who inspired you? I mean,
That that one's interesting because it's not really about who inspired me to be a streamer. Because what I was doing was honestly, all I was doing was I was streaming for kicks and giggles. I was just, I'm playing this game. Why don't I go ahead and start streaming? And it got to the point where I realized, if I just, or let's see here. I was hoping that if I went ahead and started streaming, I could go ahead and finally beat Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time on the N64. I was actually playing on the console. And one of the raids that I got in the past, it was a small raid, but the people there were pretty active. So in my eyes, it was a big raid, especially back then. And what I mean by small is like the number of viewers, I think total was 5, but when I was getting 0 to 1 average viewers, 5 is it's a huge number of people. And because of that, because I was like, holy crap, there are people here, there are people who want to go ahead and watch after that first raid, I was like, I gotta step up my game. I gotta go ahead and try to figure out how I can be a good streamer. And things didn't really start kicking off until I started playing VR chat, making a bunch of friends, and trying to do little things here or there to make things entertaining and to put smiles on people's faces. That's what I do now. It's not about the money. It's not about doing this for a living. I have a full-time job, and streaming is just a hobby for me. I do it because I want to make an impact on people's lives.
I agree with that. I always tell people that as well. I feel like if you ever start as a streamer or stream in general, I always feel like you should start as a hobby. I feel like it should only turn into a job if you're like making a lot of money and stuff. Like, I want to be honest with you here. Like,
Right.
obviously, I don't think people should jump in and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna become a streamer." Oh yeah, and then, like they spend so much time and money into it, and then they have to pay bills, and they're like, oh, I can't pay my bills. Uh-oh, like you don't want to run into those situations like that. I always feel like streaming should just be, like how people play, like go swimming or go outside or go hiking. Instead of
Hmm.
that, your hobby is now streaming. So you play video games and have fun. Like that should just be your hobby. It's the same. Like people play video games all the time. So now you're just streaming it to an audience. It should just be a hobby. Obviously there's many people that do it full time, and that's fine. I worry about if people jump into it a little bit too quickly, and then they run into financial problems and stuff. So
Right, and it's not exactly a stable job either. I mean, there are so many problems that can occur from streaming. Like maybe you don't get enough subscribers that month. Maybe you
yep,
don't get enough donations that month. And you don't want to be in a position where you basically have to beg people to give you money.
exactly.
And that's where I'm at. Like, I don't think that I could go ahead and make enough money streaming to the point where it would replace my current job. I would have to be making a lot of money. I know for a fact right now that when Fizzy did his subathon and got paid for that month, that yeah, he got ended up bringing in a lot of money, but I still don't think that the potential of where I can be with my programming job can match even what he's making.
Mm. Yeah, there's definitely some people that in this community or as a streamer that do get a lot of support. Um, and some of them do make more than some people with their actual jobs, and sometimes they make less. It really depends on the person, the community that supports them. There's definitely people that have like thousands of viewers that make like next to like nothing because they don't really have a supportive community. They just sort of like drama people or just memes
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Like they just don't really care. But it really depends on who you are. I definitely know some people that aren't even a partner. Like they only have like maybe 30, 40 viewers, and they are full time streamer, and they get more than enough to pay off their rent and food and groceries and stuff.
Right.
So it's kind of crazy. It really depends on who you are and what kind of community that you have. Um, but yeah, the takeaway is I always say this, a million times over, but just do it for fun. If it happens to like, you make more than enough, then that's great. Just be careful. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. And in regards to the being careful, so one of the things that I've done, especially with my community, is I've gone ahead and I've talked to the people who are dropping the sub bombs,
Mm-hmm.
who are dropping massive amounts of bits. And some of the things that I've heard is that the job that that person might have, they might work at a grocery store. And the reason why they can drop all this money is because they've been saving up. They've been smart with their money, but then they found somebody who they feel deserves that money or might need that money.
Yes.
And when talking with them, like one of the people who I was talking to, they've dropped multiple hundreds of subs, but their money was actually running low, so they wouldn't have been able to go ahead and keep up with it. So definitely, if you are looking to stream, or if you're a streamer right now, keep that in mind that the money that comes from the people who drop these things, even if they drop multiple hundreds to multiple streamers, that money supply isn't infinite. It will run out. They will go ahead and eventually run into financial problems.
Yeah. I think the only not the only way, but I think a really good way if you are becoming a full time streamer, if you're obviously this usually only happens to like popular people, or if you're really lucky, but getting sponsorships, that's where you get your regular pay. Because when you get a sponsorship, depends on what company and whatever, but some of them do pay like $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month, $2,000 depends on where you live. That could be your mortgage or your rent right there. Boom. So now you don't really have to like rely on people as much as long as you have your sponsorship. Then you don't really have to rely on people anymore. That's why I always tell people sponsorships is you don't have to, like, it depends on who you are, right? Some people want to do sponsorships of like companies and products and stuff like that, but I think that's the safe bet. But this is long term. This is for like people that already have like partnership and like hundreds and hundreds of viewers and stuff like that. Usually partnership or sorry, sponsorships only really reach out to people that have a larger audience because they want obviously profits, a business, right? So, um, but that's where you get the more stable channels because they could get like one sub a month and they don't care because they already make more than enough. So that only applies like the big boy streamers, but that's not really something that like a small streamer would have to or have an opportunity like that. And like you're right, like there's definitely some people that have dropped a lot of subs or like donos and bits to me, and I know that it's not gonna like be every month, right? Like I wish, that'd be awesome, but you can't rely on like, oh man, oh dude, I'm doing really good this past 2 months, man. Oh, I'm making these payments, and then the next month, boom, you got like two subs, and last month you had 200. You're like, oh shit, like like you're at the mercy.
Exactly.
You're at the mercy of your own viewers. So if like you mess up, say something stupid, or they don't have money anymore, then like you don't want to ever be in a situation of begging and stuff like that. That's why I say this is just a hobby for me. That's what I'm going to college for, so I can support myself. I don't have to depend on others.
Hmm.
So that was a good that was a good discussion, yeah. But moving on. Uh, what's how do you feel about the VR chat community as a whole? Over the past year and a half you've met, everything that you've done, all the friends you met, all the people, um, good and bad. How do you feel about the whole community in general?
So as a whole, I don't think I could speak for the entire community as a whole because it's gigantic,
Oh, I meant like
and there's
just your
also different
experience.
time frames. Yeah. So from my experience, it's the VR chat community is it evolves. It's not going to be the same thing one day to the next. You'll go ahead and find niches, little groups, and whatnot that hang together. It's like clubs in high school. You'll find people who get together and hide in the corner, and like, oh, the kids over there, they, they're the football team, for instance, or the track team, where they go ahead and just hang around the people who they're friends with for the most part. And you'll find that a lot in VR chat, where if I want, how do I put it? If I want people more on the wholesome side of things, I might join someone like Emu, or if I want to go to the dancing side of VR chat, I might join Is This Real VR or No Logic David. There's just, and people don't really change too much. They do change as everyone changes, but for the most part, you go ahead and hang out with your friends, and the next month they're still going to be the same friends. They might do things a little bit different, but they're still going to be the same friends that you were hanging out with the month before. And you can go ahead and watch as they themselves as a person grow and evolve, or grow and adapt throughout the year.
Yeah, there's definitely many people that I've met in VR chat that because I've been around for so long, and I met a lot of people even way before they even started streaming. Like the people that you mentioned, I knew that when they were just starting out, and it's been a long time, long journey that I met them, and over time, obviously, we've connected more and networked or done projects together, and made a lot of awesome moments. A lot of funny moments, just stuff you remember. When I'm looking down or feeling bad a day, I just think of the good times. Or if it's streamed or recorded, I can just look back and be like, oh, that was funny. A year ago or 2 years ago. So there's a lot of good stuff. I always feel like a lot of people always. I feel like people focus too much on the negativity, and I feel like a lot of the positivity isn't really shown too much. Like people just sort of zone in on the negativity, like, oh, this person said this thing, oh, this happened this day or whatever. It's just like it really depends on who you're with, and just I always focus on the positives. Like being negative all the time is never good for your health, and just
Hmm.
just have fun with your friends. That's all it should ever be. So
And honestly, with the, like you brought up, the whole negativity thing and whatnot, that happens anywhere where you go, whether that's online, offline. I mean, you'll see it even in high school and middle school, where people go ahead and talk behind each other's backs, or that's just how life is. And personally, to me, the way I like to look at things is like to look at things in the now
Mm-hmm.
and the future. There's no point in looking at the past because the past is the past. So what if someone said something in the past? If they're doing good in the future or in the present and they're going towards a better future,
Mm-hmm.
then look at what they're doing in the present and where they're going in the future.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I just feel like people have grudges and they just hold them way too like way over people's heads, and it just seems really silly, you know. And a lot of the time, I always say this, like, I would argue probably 90 to 95% of all drama that's ever happens, not just in VR chat, but just in general, could probably be solved in DMs or privately. But for whatever reason, man, people like to publicly, post it on Twitter or tell their friends in Discord or whatever, and then it spreads and then it gets out and stuff. I always feel like if you're publicly like, saying drama or negative comments, you're doing it for attention. You want people to know, right? Because at the end of the day, if I had an argument, which I've had many arguments with people, simply I just DM them and I say like, hey, I didn't like that. Can you stop that? And if they don't, then I just block them. Unfortunately, that's just the way life is sometimes. If someone doesn't want to change and doesn't understand what they're doing is wrong, then I'm not gonna bother with you anymore. So yeah, maybe.
Right. And I can certainly say that I'm guilty of that as well. I'm sure a lot of us are.
Mm-hmm.
And the point is to just not worry about it. Like you may have gotten into it in the past, and this goes for any sort of drama or trouble or whatever. If it happened in the past, that doesn't mean that it has to happen in the future, or that it's always going to be that way. Things can change.
Yeah. That's why I always tell people, like, I used to be a lot worse 2 years ago, but nowadays I'm a lot more different. I think I matured a lot. I'm almost 25 now, so I feel like I matured a lot. Your brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25, so at least that's what I read all the time. So,
I've got a good joke for you. Once you turn 25,
oh yeah.
when someone asks you how old you are, say that you're a quarter,
yeah.
and someday you'll become $1.
All right. I was about to say, you're probably about to say something along those lines, because I do tell people, when I do turn 25, I'm going to be like a quarter of a century, so a quarter makes sense, yeah.
Mm. And I was going with the quarter of $1.
Yeah. Sorry, that's supposed to be my dog. She just barks if you hear that. Just the way it is. Anyway, so we'll start taking questions from the chat. So if anyone has any questions for Frosty or I, just write them in the chat and I'll read them off. But in the meantime, while people start thinking of their questions, what is one thing you would like to change about VR chat or add a feature?
I would have to say that probably one of the features that I would like added would be the ability to go ahead and interact with other people's avatars.
Okay.
I could just imagine what, like right now, when we have dynamic bones, we can go ahead and interact with things like ears, hair, etc. But I think I think it'd be awesome to just be able to go ahead and take my hand, give someone a head pat, and watch as their hair or their ears move as I move my hand back and forth. But there's a lot to go in the future. There's a lot of possibilities. And with the newer games like Neos VR or Lavender VR coming out,
yes,
I think that's giving VR chat a bit of competition to the point where they're stepping up their game and making it even better with all of the future updates that they're coming out with. Updating Unity version, giving more features to people, etc.
Yeah.
I believe that it has a bright future.
Yeah, because Neos VR and Lavender and a couple other social platform like VR games, Um, Definitely our competition to VR chat, and it's healthy, right? It's always healthy to have competition or at least a different, options,
Exactly.
because it creates supply and demand. So obviously people are going to be like, oh, why would I play VR chat when I can play Neos VR? And then obviously if a lot of people start playing Neos VR, that's not good for business. So 1 second.
Uh huh. Things do happen.
Yeah, keeps happening to me. Anyway, I apologize for that. So what was he talking about again? Oh yeah, the competition for like different social platform games. Yeah, I always think it's
Hmm.
healthy, and it's healthy for VR chat and other titles as well. So I agree on that. We'll start taking questions. So I already said that, but I'll start reading off of them. When will you marry your girlfriend to Frosty? Wow, that's
Um,
pretty strong. Just say you will
I,
eventually.
I yes,
Yeah,
eventually.
yeah. There you go.
When I don't know, but eventually, hopefully.
Yeah,
I
just
don't know. I don't know the future contains.
VR marriage. How long has Frosty been coding for?
Ah, that's a fun one. So, as far as how long I've been coding for, you mentioned that you're almost 25. I currently am 25. I'll be turning 26 this year. And I've been programming since I was in fourth grade in elementary school. About.
Okay.
And I remember this because in fourth grade, I asked the computer teacher at my school, when will we go ahead and learn how to make web pages? And they said next year. And from then on forth, I remember going ahead and learning how to program. And I started off with taking the World of Warcraft website because my dad played World of Warcraft. So I took the World of Warcraft website. I figured out how I could download the whole website by doing like right click save page as. And so I had a. I don't know if I still have the copy somewhere on some old hard drive. It would be great to find out if I did because I had essentially like all the art assets for the World of Warcraft website downloaded to my hard drive. I had, or like for their main page, their blog page and whatnot, I had the HTML source code for it. And I was just playing with it, tweaking with it here or there, just making little changes like change what the text says, try to add another blog post type of
Mm-hmm.
entry, and build up my knowledge just by tweaking the code and seeing what it did. And at the time of high school, I was able to. I actually had the full skill set to program professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in high school, it's just I was in high school, and what kind of software engineering company that typically requires a bachelor's degree of science to would want to go ahead and hire someone who's still in high school, especially when you've got high school hours and work hours and how they collide.
Damn, that's crazy though. Cause um, well, so what kind of coding that you actually do? You like video game coding, or do you do like website coding? Like what kind of coding?
So I'm going to go off on a little story here. So my dad's also a software engineer, and in the past, he or his job at the time had a bring your child to work day,
Okay.
and they decided to bring in all of the kids and their parents into a conference room, and they had all the kids go up and say what they wanted to be once they grew up. And when it was finally my term, I went up there and I said, "Hi, my name is so and so, and when I grow up, I want to be a what was it? a low-level back-end software engineer, and this is coming from the mouth of a 6th grader. A low-level back-end software engineer, and that someone who's of that title basically means that they do all of the hard programming. They do things like writing driver software, writing this like C++ code that interacts with directly with the operating system, or with the hard drives or whatever. And that's what I wanted to be when I grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually what I am right now. I'm currently writing code in C++. We're a team of 4. The other 3 C++ developers are probably like 30, I think, well, they're probably somewhere around 30 to 40 years older than me.
Yeah.
And so I'm the youngest one on the team, but I'm working with the older guys who know how to get a problem solved, both correctly and, well, let's see, get the problem solved correctly, but also write fast performing code. Because, like, the easy programming languages, they aren't very fast necessarily, but C++, if you write your code right, it's going to perform lightning fast. You could run something that would only perform on a desktop on potentially like a small laptop. That's like El Cheapo.
That's crazy though. Like that you're like the youngest on the team. Well, I mean that's your passion though, man. I've never I mean I took coding in college. I took what's it called communication technology for 4 years in high school, but that was more like writing code for like websites and like designing websites and stuff like that. So I took interactive media design, which teaches you how to make websites, and I have a diploma. But I was never really good at coding, so I preferred to actually like design them on Photoshop more and like learning video editing and motion design more. So I'm not really much of a coder, I'm more of a designer. So
And I'm more of a coder because what I like to do is I like to solve the problems. It's like going ahead and finding a crossword puzzle.
mm-hmm.
Well, what word could fit here? Or like a Sudoku challenge. What number fits in here? Because this number's already in this box. Oh, I can't go ahead and have this number in this cell anymore, etc., etc. But part of the reason, like you mentioned, passion, and part of the reason why programming is my passion is I'm not sure how familiar you are with things in the autism spectrum, but when I was younger, I was diagnosed with Asperger's.
Mm-hmm.
And typically people with Asperger's, they latch on to one topic and you can't hardly get them away from that topic, basically. Like, here I was, an elementary schooler, and I was doing my math homework by writing HTML web pages, little tables and whatnot. And that's how I would do my that's how I would do my math homework. I would do it in a stinking website, coding it by hand, even though it would be easier to write it on paper.
Do you
But I've heard
know
of some people with Asperger's who like couldn't do math to save their life, but as soon as you bring Egypt into it, how many pharaohs went ahead and took apples from people? All of a sudden, game on. They can do it.
yeah, do you know who Shauna Plays is?
I know of them. I haven't really watched too much of them or participated in their community. And I know that from Kyo telling me before we started this interview, I think Shauna is currently streaming Jackbox games.
Yeah, they stream various things, but they also stream VR chat, and they're somebody that I've interviewed before, and they also have Asperger's, or I think what they call it is SP, a lot of them call it. And he's really
Osby or whatnot. Yep.
yeah, and he's also a coder and stuff. So, and he knows how to like speak multiple languages and stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Just thought I'll mention that if you wanted to like talk to him about it.
Mm-hmm.
So other questions I got here. I got a lot of questions, but obviously we're talking, so like some of them I skip or like I don't try to. It's just I miss some of them. Um, Kelly was
It
talking about
happens.
in the chat like, what do you think about like the VR, like the PS5 VR? Because apparently there's going to be because right now you can get PlayStation what like 4 or 3, and you can get a VR with it, and that was like one of the most selling
Oh.
um headsets for a long time because like you just buy it's PlayStation 4, right? So you buy a PlayStation 4 and you get VR. It's been
Hmm.
around for a couple of years now, and it what really sold for like Resident Evil 7 because it was VR only on PlayStation 4. Same with like Borderlands 2. Sorry, excuse me, Borderlands 2 and a couple other games. So it was like
Hmm.
the most selling VR system. Obviously before like Index and stuff. This is years ago, but like obviously with PlayStation 5, there's going to be a new VR system. So what do you think about that? Like some people, like I don't know if it'll be as good as Index and stuff or Oculus, but I mean it'd probably be decent at least.
So I don't know what they've got now, or what they have in the works, but I have heard from what they have now, while it is a decent VR system, as far as tracking goes, compared to things like the Vive or the Oculus, the current PSVR system is highly inaccurate in that it can go ahead and make people sicker than with the current PC VR technologies. And so if the new VR system for the PS5 happens to be like that, then I am seriously worried for the people who go ahead and get it and use it. But I mean, I'm really hoping that they go ahead and learn from what they've done with VR. They've gone ahead and done, I hope that they've done their market research and they go ahead and build an awesome product. The reason why I think that the PSVR, the original PSVR sold so well is because PlayStation was the only console system with VR technology. And so people didn't need, like you mentioned before, Rebel, about people going ahead and needing um, to go ahead and buy a computer or figuring out how to
Yeah,
build a computer. Where with the PSVR, you just had to buy the console, buy the headset, follow a couple of instructions, and voila, VR. But I mean, that's great and all. I just hope that it works better than what I'm hearing reviews about.
yeah, the PlayStation 4 VR. I never actually played a
Hmm.
PlayStation 4 VR, so I didn't know if it was causing sickness or not. But I wouldn't be surprised, right? I think it was like one of the first. I think that's like I think PlayStation 4 VR was like the first gen, like even like because the headset I'm using is Gen 2 of Oculus Rift. If they don't make these ones anymore, but this is Gen 2, so I'm assuming the PlayStation VR was probably first gen with like the first like Vive and the first Oculus Rift. So I think it's that old technology. Plus, it also has to run on a console too. So like, I don't think it's like that good at all. So I wouldn't be surprised if it
Well,
was
I think
causing
they started
issues.
with the PSVR after Vive already had come out and
Okay.
after the Oculus had come out because they saw it as this new market. Like, look at the PC guys; they're starting to dig into this VR market. Why don't we go ahead and have a slice of this cake, but in the console market?
Uh huh.
And so far, I mean, Nintendo has recently released something for the Nintendo Switch, but besides the Nintendo Labo VR headset, like actual consoles with the VR headset and VR controllers that work decently well,
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation's the only one with it. Xbox hasn't even entered the arena.
Yeah, man, that's actually kind of surprising. I mean, there's the Windows Mixed Reality. That's not for consoles.
Hmm.
That's just for PC. So I don't even know
Right.
how good that is either. So I don't know.
And I've heard mixed reviews about the mixed reality. Obviously, when people try out the Vive or the Oculus,
Mm-hmm.
they say that it's better than the mixed reality, as far as I understand. But the mixed reality, it's still a VR. It's like the Quest when I mentioned earlier. It's
Mm-hmm.
still a VR. It's still an entry way to get into VR and to experience this brand new world. That's only going to get better as things move forward.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I do hope there's more competition, right? Like, cause right now it's just like Oculus and Vive and now Index or Valve Index. So like, if there's if PSVR steps up and actually becomes like a really good product, or if Windows Mixed Reality or the Samsung Premax or whatever it's called, other products start coming out and they actually like have a run for the money for other companies and like we said originally with like competition for VR chat. It's all healthy, to have competition. So hopefully it creates better and better products, right? Because I guarantee you that like PlayStation VR, they probably get a lot of reports and complaints about like the whole dizziness and sickness. So guarantee probably a lot of them are all right, guys. We need there's there's the Index now. There's the Vive Pro. There's all this way better headsets. We need to like buckle down and make a way better headset for PlayStation 5.
And I hope they do. I'm wishing Sony the best.
Yeah, maybe Microsoft will step up and be like, hey man, we'll make one for the Xbox too. They're
That'll
missing
be
out.
interesting.
I mean, I'm pretty
But
sure.
from my understanding with the Xbox, there's no exclusive games for the next console. All their games for the next console
Huh?
are also going to be playable on the PC.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Okay, I was about to say like I thought you meant like they're like not like they're going to be on PlayStation 4. I'm like,
No. They're not going to be on PlayStation, but they're going
they're
to be on PC.
PC.
So
Um, I mean, I think the Xbox will still sell. I mean, people don't have really
Oh
good
yeah.
computers, so I mean, like
Oh yeah,
I
it'll
I
still
always
sell. That's
wanted,
not a problem.
yeah, I always wanted to have like Halo on the PC. And obviously, with the Master Chief Collection coming out, that is going to become a reality. Maybe I just have Halo Reach now, but like I think that's like such a untapped market. They should have like done this sooner. They should have sold like Gears 1 and all the old Xbox 360 games to the PC years ago. Honestly, I feel like they messed up on that one because like you'd have to boot up your old Xbox, be like, oh man, I can finally play Halo 3 again. Now it's on Steam, so it took years for that. Like, come on.
I was surprised that they launched it on Steam and not the Windows Store, to be quite honest.
They probably struck a deal with Steam because they know that their own site's trash, so they're probably like, might as well just use Steam. Steam will take a cut.
Well, Steam is the biggest market, right?
Yeah, so I mean, there's the Epic Game Store, trying to take games and making you forced to get the Epic Store. So it's whatever. This is all business talk. I guess we'll take one or two more questions and we'll wrap it up. We've been going for just over an hour. GOG is nice. Yeah, there's definitely some other alternatives you can get games from. What is a good starting point to learn to code? That'd be more of a question for you.
What?
What is a good starting point to learn to code?
So, a lot of programmers out there will go ahead and recommend Python.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, Python is recommended as the starting language for programming, but my personal preference would actually be Ruby. There's a fun book called Ruby Wizardry. So this book, Ruby Wizardry, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's you go ahead and open it up, you start reading it, and it's almost like it's designed for kids. The book is talking. It's a storybook, and it starts off in the first chapter, and the king has gone ahead and is furious. He can't go ahead and find his string. He's been looking all over for it and whatnot. And as he says in the book, it has a knot on each end. And when they end up looking at it when they go ahead and pull it up in their little terminal or computing contraption, as they say in the story, they type in a double quote, and then, what was it? Like the king, his royal highness, the majesty, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it ends with a double quote. And that's exactly what they were talking about. And as soon as they enter that in, they're like, oh, that looks just like my string. And they're like, oh yeah, we can go ahead and do a bunch of other things, like how many characters were in it? Oh, we can just do, I think it was like dot count or something. They add dot count to the end. And all of a sudden it tells you how many characters are in that that string. And so that's probably my first recommendation is Ruby Wizardry. Just because of that one book. I mean, who doesn't want to read like a fantasy story and learn how to code in the process? Because you can just take those examples and run them on your computer.
Yeah, I've heard my local news from my city that they're teaching coding to elementary students now as like part of their curriculum. Like it's like when I went to school and stuff, that wasn't a thing. Like you would have to go to high school and then opt in for the class. Now they're teaching it part of the actual learning that you actually learn like computer. Well, I learned how to like type on a computer, but that was it. They didn't teach you like actual coding. But now they're gonna try and teach like starting from age like 8 or something. I don't know, like coding and
Okay, I have something to say about this. Typically, with coding in both college, universities, and in schools, there is one major problem that they have with trying to teach people to code. And that is that they try to get people to memorize like what the code is about, or they try to get them to solve these preset problems. The thing about programming that has helped me learn the most is find something practical. You want something that is going to be useful, something that's going to help you out, something that you can get a passion of. Oh yeah, if I just go ahead and spend a little bit more time on this, tweaking it to get it right, then it'll go ahead and make my life easier. Such as, in some cases, you might have a potted plant in your house, and you want to water that plant, but only once it runs out of water or gets low on water. So you might go ahead and find some hardware stuff and put together some software that detects, oh hey, the water level is low. Let's go ahead and pour some more water into the plant. Let's water the plant. And so, really, to learn it the best, it needs to be personal to you. And I think it needs to have some form of practical use case. Even
mm-hmm.
something as simple as, um, what is it? Something as simple as when you take a file, like say your screenshots folder in VRChat,
Mm-hmm.
as an example. You have all these screenshots. Maybe you want to organize them into folders by date of when you took them, or by their orientation, whether you have the camera right side up, or portrait mode, or landscape mode. Just sorting those, just a simple thing like that. It's going to make your life easier, and you can go ahead and build up a passion for doing things like that.
I get what you're saying. You should, use stories and stuff that makes more sense logically than being like, what's 2 plus 2, Like, it makes more sense
Right,
to be
right.
like,
How's 2 plus 2 going to help you out? Now, how about calculating like you actually are going to the store, you have these 2 things that you want to buy, but you want to make sure that you have enough money to buy it.
mm-hmm.
That's more practical and will help you learn better.
Yeah, I can agree on that. Just, teaching in school is always very linear. They don't really think outside the box of like what actually works and what doesn't.
It's not practical.
Yeah, it's not practical. All right. Well, on that note, I think we're gonna have to wrap it up here. It's 8 o'clock. So I'm gonna put the camera on you. If you want to shout yourself out, anything you got working on, any projects, any future plans, then let people know. Your social
All
medias,
right.
all that stuff.
Yes, yes. So you can go ahead and hello, my name is FrostyFrog, but you probably already knew that because we were doing this whole interview. You can find my Twitch, my Discord, etc. if you wanted to at my website on frostyfrog.net, or you could just go to twitch.tv/frostyfrog. And I mean, I do programming. I try to go ahead and help as many people out as I can, whether it's to be happy or to learn new things. And like this model here, it's not commissioned. I went ahead and built it myself. So the things you'll find on stream, for the most part, I try to create myself, and therefore I have the knowledge of how to do those things to help you guys out.
All right. Well, I appreciate you for stopping by, and thank you so much for coming by and being a part of the show. And yeah,
The
thank you so
pleasure's all
much.
mine. Thank you.
Yeah, sharing stories and stuff like that. I really do appreciate it. So thank you again for stopping by. Again, I'm that one Rebel. I do these talk shows. My talk show, Late Night Rebel, and yeah. So once